A man in disguise at the forest. Parvatarajan's daughter Parvati was in deep meditation in a forest at the foot of the Himalayas. Lord Shiva decided to grant her prayers and hence reached the place where she was meditating. But before accepting her hand in marriage, he wanted to test her strength of mind. He took the guise of an old man wearing a torn dress and rudrakshas around his neck. He had a tilak in place of his third eye in the forehead. His trident became a staff in his hand. One of Parvati's friends saw this old man walking slowly near the garden. Taking him for a sage, she went near him to pay her respects. "Oh dear old man, the old and weak like you are not to be wandering alone in the forest. Who are you and how are you here? Are you in search of someone?" she asked. "Oh dear girl, I heard that the Princess Parvati is here in the forest meditating hard in a hermitage. She is certainly great. How do I find her?" he asked. "Oh reverend old man, it is so good of you to have come to bless her. I shall take you to her place." Parvati also got ready to receive the respectable old man as her guest, having already received the message from her other friends. "Blessed are you, my child," said the old man as he entered, and Parvati welcomed him honorably. One of her friends, Vijayai, gave him a seat and another friend brought him fruits to eat. Lord looked at Parvati and commented as follows. "My dear girl, I am so unhappy to see you here. I have heard a lot about your beauty. Will you be able to undergo the rigorous rules of meditation with your tender figure? You have grown thin by living here like this. What is the big idea? What exactly are you praying for?" Parvati felt rather uncomfortable to answer this question herself. She looked at her friend Vijayai, who readily understood her signal. She replied to the old man, "Oh, the Great One, Parvati is desirous of marrying Lord Shiva, God Almighty of the universe. She is therefore meditating on him only." The old man laughed aloud on hearing this. "Why are you laughing, sir?" asked Vijay. "My dear girl, there is no doubt that Parvati has a lofty desire. But can she ever succeed?" Parvati interrupted in haste and asked, "Why? Why not?" "Parvati, please listen. Lord Shiva is the source of all Vedas. Do you think he will agree to your proposal? Is it so simple a task? Even Brahma and Vishnu could not even see his head or foot and had to refrain from their attempts. Your efforts will certainly go in vain. Why are you struggling for the unattainable in this young age? Take my advice and go back to your palace and live happily." When the visitor discouraged her like this, Parvati did not relish it. "Dear old man, you have not understood me correctly. I am fully aware as to what I want and what suffering I am to undergo to get it. By any chance, if he does not heed to my prayers and come to marry me, I shall still not give up my penance. I am quite firm in my stand. I shall intensify my prayers and would rather sacrifice my life itself. Please do not talk like a mad person," she said. Lord smiled and said again, "Parvati, I congratulate you for your high thinking. All the same, it is not an apt desire for a young maiden like you. When we choose a bridegroom for an eligible girl, we usually look for handsome features, virtues, wealth and the like. Just think of your choice. He is so ugly with 3 eyes. He walks along like a madman with open locks of hair. Can he not get even a silk dress to wear? Tiger skin is adorning him. Venomous snakes are his bangles. He wears only a garland of skulls and bones. At least, can he not wear good flowers in place of ornaments? While the forest is full of beautiful, nice-smelling flowers, he chooses to wear the odd ones like Vellarukku, Angur, Kondrai, Nochi and Amadai." While he went on and on in these lines, Parvati could not stand his blabbering any longer. She closed her ears and chose not to listen. "Listen, Parvati. He lives in the burial ground. He smears ash all over his body and dances with demons day in and day out. If you marry him, you have also to join this dance only. He has no parents. Will any girl fall in love with such a lunatic? Parvati got wild with anger and looked at him with disgust. Stop it! No more nonsense, please, she shouted. I had misjudged you from your appearance. I mistook you from an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva, who is my master. You have now shown your true colors. At such a ripe old age, have you learnt only this about Lord? Your words do not match your outward appearance. Vedas speak volumes about the Lord of Mount Kailash. Have you never read them? All Devas, led by Brahma himself, always worship at his feet, seeking his grace. Your appearance is so deceptive that I had unnecessarily entertained you here, only to hear such uncharitable comments about my Lord. You have stooped lower than even the lowest creature. It is a sin to talk to you any longer. Please leave me, she said. Lord roared in laughter. My dear girl, you are boasting that you now know my true colors. You have hardly understood what I mean. I have come searching for you because I love you very much. Just compare myself with your Lord. I am much better than him in personality and appearance. You better stop your silly meditation. Let us go and meet your father. If you marry me, I shall see to it that you are happy. When the Lord in his disguise as an old man said like this, Parvati was startled out of her wits. Once upon a time in her previous life, her father Daksha had uttered such uncharitable comments about her husband, for which she decided to renounce that birth itself. Now, when she was reborn as the daughter of Himavan, was she destined to undergo the same torture? When she had already decided upon marrying Lord Shiva, should another person express a desire of her? This wretched person does not even leave me after I have asked him to quit. She called her friends and said, Let us all leave this place. This bad man has evil designs in coming here and is talking nonsense. It is better we avoid such fools. As she started moving towards the entrance, God was pleased with her steadfast devotion for him and hence hastened to say, Parvati, please do not go from here. I shall leave. Just take a look at me. His kind words made Parvati turn back. What a surprise! The arguing old man was no longer there. Lord Shiva with his team of Nandideva and the rest was there on his Rishabha Vahana. She was thrilled at his great darshan. When she considered it a sin to hear unpleasant words about Lord Shiva, she had unknowingly insulted the Lord himself by her crude conduct. She fell at his feet and asked for pardon. Oh my Lord, you were so kind to me that you condescended to come and accept me. I did not realize the truth and spoke utter nonsense to you. I am extremely distressed. Even great wise men have failed to understand your mysterious ways. Where am I, a silly fool? Please forgive me for all that I spoke ill of you, she prayed with sincere remorse. Parvati, do not worry. I came in disguise to test your strength and willpower. I have accepted you for all your words of praise only. You may return to your palace now. I shall come there tomorrow to marry you, Lord said and disappeared. Parvati's joy knew no bounds and she continued to stay in the hermitage itself until the king heard the whole episode from her friends. Escorted by his queen Mena, the king came there with immense pleasure and returned with his daughter to his palace. The sages arrived to fix the marriage. On returning to Mount Kailash, Lord Shiva thought of Saptarishis, the 7 veteran sages. They got the message of the Lord through their mystic powers and reached Mount Kailash immediately. Taking permission from Nandideva, they gained entry to the Sanctum Sanctorum where they saw Lord Shiva. O Lord, when all the Devas right from Brahma are awaiting your orders, you have so graciously thought of us for some reason. We feel greatly honored and we shall carry out your orders right away. So blessed are we shall never be caught again in the cycle of birth and death, they said. My dear sages, Parvatarajan's daughter Parvati has desired to marry me, for which she had been in absolute meditation all along. As I am also eager to accept her, kindly meet Parvatarajan on my behalf and try to find out his opinion in the matter, said the Lord. The sages accordingly took leave of the Lord, and on getting the message of their arrival through his guards, Parvatarajan and his wife received them heartily. After the ceremonial welcome accorded to them as per customs in practice, the king asked them about the purpose of their visit. Parvataraja, our visit augurs well for your greater fame and name. Lord Shiva is desirous of marrying your daughter Parvati. We have come here on his behalf to know your views, the sages said. Parvatarajan was immensely happy at the proposal. He was blessed with a very rare privilege which none else can even imagine. He bowed before the sages and said, I am extremely delighted to hear your words. I shall readily give my daughter in marriage to Lord Shiva, and I will also be his slave henceforth. His queen Meena was equally elated with joy. Addressing the sages with due respect, she said, O great men, Lord Shiva, who is responsible for all our existence, is most welcome to marry our daughter, and it is a great honor for us. But a small doubt lurks in my mind. King Daksha had earlier given his daughter Dakshayani in marriage to Lord Shiva. Once, when the Lord became angry with him, he ignored the relationship of father-in-law and punished him severely. He went to the extent of chopping his head off and replacing it with that of a goat. I am afraid to think of a son-in-law who would go so blind in his anger, and I shudder to imagine the treatment to be meted out to us. How can my young daughter carry on with him? The sages understood Queen Meena's hesitation. They consoled her and said, Fear not, O Queen. King Daksha's case was different. He insulted his own son-in-law, refusing to give him due respect in the yaga performed by him. That triggered Lord's anger, and there again he saved him from becoming guilty of the great sin committed against God Almighty. He merely punished him gracefully. In your case, Lord is pleased to seek your daughter's hand in marriage, and this again means he showers his grace on you. You may rest assured that he is always supreme in his kindness. Himavan agreed with the sages, and Queen Meena begged their pardon for her baseless fears. Soon after, the 7 sages took leave of them and informed Lord Shiva of their approval for the marriage. Lord Shiva as the bridegroom. No sooner than the sages left for Kailash, King Himavan started his preparation for the wedding scheduled next day. He thought of the divine architect Vishwakarma, who readily responded to his call. O Vishwakarma, my daughter Parvati is to marry Lord Shiva, the God Almighty of Mount Kailash. All devas numbering 33 crores and the rest of the celestial world will certainly grace the auspicious occasion. Our city is to be decorated to look like Indra's capital Amaravati. The king said. Vishwakarma accepted the assignment with pleasure. The city wore a festive look immediately. Great palaces and halls were built on mountain peaks. Broad roads with cool tree shades on either side were truly inviting one and all. Theatres, yagasalas, wide chariot shelters, and the like were erected at suitable places. Plantain trees and arecanut trees were providing the festive arches on the pathways with festoons of mango leaves, bright colorful beads and decorations all along. Separate housing was arranged to accommodate sages, siddhas, yakshas, gandharvas, apsara ladies, kinnaras, and tastefully equipped for their comfortable stay. On all 4 sides of the city, compound walls were built with beautiful entrances and welcome arches. The marriage hall was studded with precious stones and gems of all kinds. Pillars had beautiful images carved on them. Garlands of pearl, ruby, coral, diamond, and other gems added grandeur to the palace. When they were being tossed about by the gentle wind, different hues were dazzling in the light. There were happiness everywhere, and the arrangements were highly appreciated by the king and the queen. Invitations for the marriage of Lord Shiva and Parvati were sent to all devas and gods by King Himavan with the request to bless the couple and honor him on the occasion. The divine wedding was the talk of the town everywhere in all the worlds. The next day was an auspicious day in the month of Falguna, with the presence of the star Uttara Falguni. King Himavan got ready early in the morning and reached Mount Kailash with his queen and relatives. He worshipped the Lord and requested him to come to his palace to accept his daughter in marriage, for which he had so kindly consented. He formally invited all his kith and kin, who were none other than all the gods and devas. Lord agreed to reach his palace with his team from Mount Kailash, and all sages accompanied him. Himavan was in readiness to receive him. All the invitees had also been gathered at the abode of Himavan. Durga, Kali, the seven rivers, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Indrani, wives of sages and wives of the devas all had congregated there. All the mountains, including Meru, the seven oceans, Nagas and the 8 mighty elephants guarding the 8 cardinal directions, had already assembled. After Parvatarajan left, Lord Shiva asked Nandi Deva to get all the Devas, Indras, Brahma, Vishnu and other devotees to Mount Kailash so that he could go with all of them. Kalagni Rudra with his group of 10 crore people armed with their Trishul came there. Panchavaktra and Rishabhakedu were in this group. Brahmandra Rudra came with the group of 72 crore demons. Adakesha Rudra, Veerabhadra, Mahashashta and Ekadasa Rudra came with their crows of subjects. The 8 Murtis were present: Gundudharan, Gantakaran, Pinaki, Bhanukampan, Sankukarnan, Kalakantan, Dandi, Neelan, Karan, Visvamali, Isanan and others reached Mount Kailash with their army of demons. Indra with Devas, Chandran with his stars, the rest of the planets, Vidyadharas and the sages were there to attend the function. All the Sastras beginning from the Vedas and all the mantras were available there in their celestial form to accompany the Lord. Brahma came on his swan mount and Vishnu came on his Garuda Vahana. Nandi Deva announced to Lord Shiva about the readiness of all those assembled to escort him. Lord Shiva summoned them to his abode and all of them sang his praise in his august presence. O God, you are excessively kind to us. You taught us Yoga Marga by teaching the 4 sons of Brahma. We were enlightened about the path to salvation. Now you are becoming a bridegroom to give us immense pleasure. We are looking forward to the auspicious event when we can see you shining in all glory. Lord Shiva then looked at Brahma, who gave him the wedding dress. As soon as he touched and accepted them, his entire form changed. The snakes and bones adorning him till then vanished. Lord Shiva was now fully decked with golden ornaments. Everyone stood there wondering at the gorgeous sight. The auspicious time was approaching fast. Nandi Deva commanded the visitors to order. Lord Shiva came out and got on his Rishabha mount with the help of Gundudhara. All around, the Hara Hara chanting was heard. Many types of musical instruments like Berigai, Kokkarai, Saligai, Karaligai, Pili, Charikai, Udukai, Matalam, Kudamura, Tabari, Kakala, Udukumbu were played aloud. Nandi Deva was leading the procession with a golden wand in his hand. Demons were following, chanting his name. Many visitors carried flags and festoons to add beauty to the occasion. Brahma and Vishnu came on either side of Lord Shiva as his bodyguards. Sun and the moon carried the palanquin. Varuna was making the place cool, spraying water all along. Indra was carrying the umbrella. The big procession was heading towards Himavan's palace, raising lot of dust up to the sky. Musical notes and chanting were sounding as sweet as honey. Tumburu and Narada were playing Vedas on yard. Sages were singing the praise of the Lord in Veda mantras as they were following, making him rejoice on the happy occasion.